Marriage, especially among the young people in this hour, it focuses on the individuals too much when it's supposed to focus on the creator of the marriage.
Yazi ibaluleke kakhulu into yokuthi umuntu mayeshada wazi ukuthi uyaphi. And then lamalanga abantwana abapreparewanga and then mabangena emshadweni bacabanga ukuthi siyojola siyothandana soba ama friends ababoni le assignment enkulu, especially umuntu wesifazana une assignment yokuyonceda umuntu ukwakha or ukuqhubekisa or ukusupport ivision lo muntu oshada naye. Abantwana bamanje abayi ngokusupporta ivision. Umuntu uthi especially wesifazana uthi nginento yami, ngine vision yami.
Come on, mom.
Thola ukuthi nobaba une vision yakhe and bese makufika phambili akuhlaliseki kahle ngoba one family pass.
The question is, what is your understanding of marriage? And I can tell you 90% yabantu esibabhalisa test, they are all over the show. Sometimes they don't even mention God. God is not in the picture because we want to test their understanding in marriage. The foundation is not there. My advice is to acquire knowledge, the purpose of the marriage. And the biggest thing to know about that is covenant. Not just agreement, covenant.
Covenant.
Not just contract, but covenant. Because the Vodacom contract, you are allowed to make adjustments, but the covenant, we can't make adjustments.
The thing is, do you want to say something, Mom, before I speak?
Okay, bengithi mina ukusupporta futhi lento ngishoyo ukuthi engibonile angisho ngisoba ngize ngizosupport ivision. Engibonile and kuya ngami standards kaNkulunkulu ukuthi yimi ngilandela ubaba. The more ngisupport ivision is the more nami ngokwami ngizidiscover is the more uNkulunkulu akhulisa eyaminto ngi1 enganababa ngaphakathi. And yenza kufloweke kahle. It's not like uNkulunkulu uyangiyekelela kube ngathi mina ngiphili. So the more ngimsupporta is the more ngiba happy ngani.
Okay, actually, that was actually the next thing I was going to ask you to talk about, because we had this conversation. And one of the things, for those of you who don't know, most of the things that my mom does, she does it because she's supporting my dad's vision. But she's not in it like she's oppressed or anything like that. She's actually happy. Like the coffee shop, she's happy to do the coffee shop. But what other people don't know is that the coffee shop is a preaching in and of itself. And it's also pushing the vision of the Father. Even with, for those of you who don't know, even the Amasocha conference. She's super excited to do the Amasocha conference. But it's also pushing the vision that the Father, the Father, which is that being my dad, has placed. So is it fair to say that submission is not oppression?
Not at all.
Maybe
let me just, you see, if we can follow the principles of God, we will go very far. Simple. Give, it shall be given back to you. That measure pressed down, shaken together, running over. So if she's giving her time, her energy to support, surely she must be rewarded. It is more blessed to give than to receive. So giving the support, God is not a man to violate his word. You know, at the time when we called the KK conference, which is now, we call it now KK conference, but in the olden days, Amasocha Wombuso. I mean, that was the biggest conference in the church. And it did not threaten me. It did not bother me that your mom is gathering so many people more than me. No intimidation at all. But I think God was rewarding that attitude of supporting your husband.
Yeah.
Say something, Mommy.
Yeah, bengifuna ukusho ukuthi isubmission isystem kaNkulunkulu, and then uNkulunkulu mayithi yenza into akakenzeli ukuthi kube nobhlungu ekugcineni. So fanele angisho manje mawusubmita i-submission into yakho noNkulunkulu akusinto yami nobaba wakwami ngoba the more ngisubmita kubaba kwami ngiyenza for uNkulunkulu. So that's why ngithola i-reward kuNkulunkulu ukuthi ngihlala ngihappy ngoba ngenza into uNkulunkulu athi ngiyenze ukusubmit.
A woman's superpower in marriage is submission. What's a man's superpower as a husband? Oh, that's what you did.
Love.
Okay.
Love. And sacrificial love. And, you know, I don't know, this has been my experience. I can't quote what the world is saying, believes about marriage and so forth, you know. Greater love has no one than the one who laid down his life, you know. So that kind of love, where you laid down your life. Actually, I was I was thinking about this earlier on. There are many good things that I've done even without announcing them to your mom in respect of God, you know. So for me, and she would not even say thank you because she's not aware. That wouldn't even bother me, you know. That wouldn't even bother me. I'll be just content that I've done what is right.
What would you say to someone who has this constant fear that, but I'm scared that if I love her that much, she'll start abusing me, she'll start, even from your side, mom, the submission side, like, if I submit to a man's vision that much, I feel like I'll lose myself. What would you say to someone like that?
Eish. Angeke ngikwazi ukunceda umunye umuntu ngoba from ekuqaleni mangishada naye yakhumela lento le ukuthi kumnandi ukushada umuntu omaziyo. So ungena ngeconfidence ukuthi angeke uzulimali. Nanoma ungazilahlela kuye kangakanani ngeke ulimale ngoba wazi background yakhe kakhulu. Yabona so kaningi abantu abanefear ukuthi ababazi vele nalabantu ababashadayo. So that's why banefear.
Just to say, you're so right, because I really think in this generation, like, people don't want to get married to their friends. They just like, no, I want to risk, I want to get in. We'll see, we'll see if it works or not, and it deprives them the opportunity of throwing themselves within. Okay, all right, now that's interesting. What would you say to someone who says, I can't love a woman that much? Have you seen the statistics? Have you seen women are cheating? What would you say to someone who says, I can't give sacrificial love like that because she just might leave me?
As much as your wife, my wife respects me. My wife respects me, serve me, submit to me. But if I treat her in a nasty way, then I will have to explain to God. You see, that's how I see this whole thing. It's not about people around me and so forth. That is why even some of the things I'm doing to her which are good, it is because of that fear of the Lord, you know. Because let's say I'm thinking on my own, I'm going to hurt her. What kind of a husband is that, you know? I can't be thinking that way because God already sees my mind, sees my thinking, you know. And this is something that I've asked in my youth days, that Lord, help me to fear you. And at the time I didn't know, but I could tell that there's something about the fear of God. So the fear of God has preserved me so that I maintain my integrity, you know. I cannot wish to do something bad to her. Because I know the first thought, God sees me. And I must account to God.
I think you also mentioned this in the previous shoot we had, the one where we lost the footage. If you do want it, please don't forget to comment on the comment section that we want that episode, and I'll see what I do with my team. But I think we also did mention it about the whole consciousness. You carrying the consciousness that God is watching. It's not about what the news is saying about the ladies out there. It doesn't matter what's happening in my environment. What will God say about the way I treat the lady that?
Exactly.
Oh, okay. And I think maybe this also will add on to the question, which is, you did mention this once at church, like you grew up in a household where marriage was not, successful.
My parents divorced.
Okay, I didn't know if I could say it on the show, but it's fine. So my dad had little, inspiration, if I can put it that way. What do you think kept you going to say, this will not happen to me? What do you think anchored you to say, I will not experience such in my family?
Well, thank God that I got saved during that time. Probably I would have messed up if I was not born again and facing that situation, where my dad is not around and we are struggling, we are suffering. Probably I could have been in jail. So being in the church, serving in the church, watching other couples who are born again, loving each other and so forth. So I would say being in the house of God.
Yes.
Yeah, being in the house of God.
Hallelujah. Ladies and gentlemen, you heard ideal candidates of husbands are serving in the church. I'm going to say it one more time. Ideal husbands and ideal wives are serving in the church. That is a point right there. What do you think is okay, let me just come down. All right.
Tell you add something.
Okay, feel free, mom.
Tell you add something kulento ye divorce. Mina ngibuya ku background la umama nobaba abadivorcanga. Mara ngiyacabanga ukuthi umama wenze into enhle ngoba yena ubuya efamilini by 12 ekhaya kibo and yena uyi last born. And boy 11 beba divorce, bashada ba divorce abobhuti bakhe. And then uthi wathatha decision ukuthi yena akayo divorce. And then wakhuleka ukuthi for the sake yabantwana bami angiyo divorce. And in the way beka intentional ngalento ngakhona nanoma beka challenge emshadweni, but ngenxa ye decision ayithethe azange divorce waze washona. So nanoma ngihleli la khaya angilwi spirit se divorce, ngirelaxed ngoba ngazi ukuthi uma wasinqoba kudala. So angiboni ngathintwa into ye divorce. And ngikholwa ukuthi nabantwana abangeke ba divorce. Abami abantwana angeke ba divorce.
Come on, mom.
Ngoba leso spirit
Yes.
sanqotshwa kudala.
Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Glory to Jesus. Oh, yes. Okay. So you also do marriage counseling, Baba, né? But I also heard Dad say this as well while preaching. He says, whenever you are fighting with your, potential, not your potential, your wife or your husband, take out a clip, go back and find that clip where you were saying vows to one another and put it in. What do you think it does to the couple when they see themselves say those words?
I think it challenged their integrity and their commitment. Yeah. It takes you, were you serious? Were you committed? Did you mean what you said? And can we review this conflict in the light of those vows you made,
Just to add futhi enye into esincede kakhulu kuleyo nto leyo kuma early stages womshado. Ubabakho wangifundisa ukuthi
No, can I just say this? My mom has never said that, ever. Never said Baba. Never. My dad has never been called Baba Kalungile, ever. Okay.
wangifundisa ukuthi Sithandwa noma singalwa kangakanani singathinti i-covenant. Yabona? So it's not like asilwi kunezinto esingaboni ngelihlo eliwani mara lezi zinto lezo asisipush ukuze sithi hayi siyahlukana ngoba enye into ukulwa enye into i-covenant enye into. So uma silwa fanele sibhekane nokulwa siyekele i-covenant ngale ndlela ihlelele ngakhona.
And mhlambe enye point which I've mentioned it before, if I'm a couple are, because it happens with the conflict. But there's two things. It's either omunye of the two is in the spirit, omunye is in the flesh. Or both, we are in the flesh.
Yeah. Okay.
And it helps you to quickly come to a solution, you know.
Yeah. All right. What do you think? Hey! Yeah, Ned, love. I'm still trying to find a way, but there's a clip. Let me somehow advertise our Instagram pages. I might as well. There's a clip my mom sent me yesterday where maybe I'll even talk to the person who was doing the editing and see if we can put it in. But there's a clip where my parents were just showing love to one another. Please go support that. I'll post it on TikTok on our Wisdom page. Please find the link on the description down below. I'll also post it on our Instagram and Facebook as well. I thought it was a very cute clip. With that being said, I also want to give a huge shout out to our sponsors. Big shout out to Mpo Masombuga for assisting us with the visuals. I also want to say big shout out to Mtshweni Coffee Shop. We make the best coffee in the world. Believe you me, I have been to so many coffee places. Mtshweni Coffee Shop literally has the best coffee place. And with that being said, they also sell homemade pizza every Wednesday. Do make sure you pull through. We would love to see you here. What time does the coffee shop open?
9 a.m.
9 a.m. all the way until 5 p.m., right? So please do make sure you pull through. Google it. It's on Google. You will find it there. Right. Back to our interview. Okay. So let's talk a little about CCM. I hear this year you are celebrating 25 years of the ministry. That is an amazing achievement. I think a lot of people give up on the ministry, but let's just talk about how did CCM begin. Please tell us about the first day CCM began.
Okay, masiqeda ukushada sifika eBrongo Spruit, sibuya eSoshanguve Winterveld, and then besiya enkonzweni eNkangala kukude. So elinye ilanga sathi siceda uklina ijarid sayochitha izibi dumping area. Masi ya la eBrongo Spruit besicala nokuyibona le ndawo lebesiya kuyo, but besisebenza soyithu sayochitha. Masifika lapha sathola abantu badla, abantu nje kunabantwana abadla lapho kuleyo ndawo leyo, and then sa decide ukuthi sizobaphekela. Sathinteka ukuthi fanele sibe yiphathi yokunceda labantu esibabonayo bese ngakaliboni nelokishi ukuthi likuphi sibone, ngoba mawungena ezithobeni indawo yokuqala ongena kuyo ile ndawo la kulahla khona udodi, but abantu basuke lokishini beze la. Then besiloko sibaphekela from ezikhwameni zethu, and then masiloko sipheka, and then upapa abona ukuthi ukubanika ukudla kunganazwi kuyi problem. Then what decide ukuthi ngcono sibanike izwi.
Yes.
So mina bengipheka, yena make sure ukuthi uyabashumayeza. So sasebenza njenge-team kungale ndlela isonto uqale ngakhona.
That's beautiful. You can see the type of diet I had at home. I've been eating spiritual food and physical food. Dad, anything to say? How did CCM start?
Yeah, I think
She summarized it well, ne? Okay. Do you remember the first sermon you preached? By the way, I think that's interesting. Do you remember the first sermon you preached when you went there? Nothing at all. Okay, cool. All right.
But ngicela uku-add mhlambe kule nto le ngoba besiku dumping area kakhulu. The way upapa bekashumayela ngakhona labantu laba baku dumping area bebafila ukuthi man kunento especial. Bese babiza abantu elokishini ukuthi beze. So every Sunday bokuzoza abantu abangazi bazodla ku dumping area. Nethi ngoba batshelwe yilaba balapha ukuthi kunomfundisi lapha. So kula khona kuza abantu aba right mara beza ku dumping area. Omunye walabantu laba ba right wathi bengicela ukuthi nize kwami endlini ngoba le ntshumayelo le ifuna i-community, so indlu yami ngiyayivula ukuthi nizoshumayela lapho. Then sa-change-ke ukuhlanganyela lapha ku-dumping area saya endlini yakalo mama loyo. Then abantu base-dumping area bebazoya lapho nabantu baselokishini baye lapho, then isonto laqala.
I think it reminds me John the Baptist. Yeah, he was in the wilderness, and people will leave Judea, and they will go to the wilderness. So when the power of God is at work, there is no restriction. Yeah.
And enye mnandi yakhona ukuthi sina 25 years senza yonke lento lena. Umama kaMpumi Masombuka.
Shout out Mpumi Masombuka.
Namanje ngine picture yakhe eza ku dumping area. Ngomunye wabantu beba right.
And hayi ngoba bekahlupheka.
Hayi ngoba bekahlupheka. Namhlanje sesenathi.
Shout out. That's beautiful. That's beautiful to hear. Can you believe I had a question and it slipped my mind? Okay, here. Has there ever been a time when you felt like giving up on the church and where mom pushed you to keep going? Or if it was mom who felt like giving up and dad kept pushing you to go?
Yeah, I think that challenge was there at some point, and the cause of the challenge, it was the reasoning of the people. And because I assume if people are struggling, because we're serving in an area where people are struggling, it should be easier to help them. They must embrace the change, they must embrace the help. But number one, but you find the people were more difficult. More difficult. You would see the element of pride, and which I didn't expect. That's one. Two, the people who are well off and coming to our church because they love the word, they could not adjust to go down and pick up the people. So we were in this between the two mountains, So that was the challenge at the time. And one thing I didn't understand about God's people, that if you're loving God, why would you not serve Him? Why must you be followed? Why must you be begged? And I didn't understand that thing. Yeah, I got it later, that the difference between the company and the church. At the church, you don't get paid. You volunteer. At the company, you get paid. But having said that, though the church doesn't pay you, but the price that Jesus paid for your salvation cannot be compared to what the company can give you.
Just to add kulento ishoyo ukuthi mhlambe mangayiveza ukuthi ama challenges esibenawo since from a dumping area until kulo 25 years ukuthi masiqala beku about uNkulunkulu nama souls. And then the way besiyenza innocently, so be attractor nabantu bangaphandle aba right angisho. And labantu mabafika bangaphandle, I don't know ukuthi why bangakhoni ukujoina lento le esiyenzayo, ukungena ku community, and then end up singasayenzi le assignment esibizelwe kose sisolve izinto zabantu aba right even financially. And ba distractor umsebenzi kaNkulunkulu, but labo abeza ngeintention yokuthi bazonceda lento esiyenzayo akubi ne distraction. So i distraction kula ukuthi abantu abezi basebenze beza ba criticize ukuthi why niyenza so, why ningayenzi so, ukuya ngalendlela bona babona ngakhona. But ukuze kuflowe abantu mabasijoina bajoina lento esiyenzayo, then ministry bamnandi.
You know, it's interesting. My mom, even the first one, when we shot it, my mom was just like, I'm not a podcast person. I don't like talking. But in this podcast, she has been speaking more than my dad. I find that very interesting. And I think okay, we need to wrap up now. I've got two more. I think I've got two more. I've got one more question. And then I'll ask my brother to come ask a question. And then I think, we'll go step by step. maybe I'll ask it to both of you. I'll start with mom. 2009, dad comes back and says, I am no longer working. I am going to be in full-time ministry. For those of you who don't know, my dad used to work and he was a manager. He was literally, I remember I even told, I think I was telling someone that my dad used to get awards on awards on awards every single year. My dad was literally at the peak, of his career. And he comes back home to you, mom, and he says, I am going full-time into ministry. Take us through your mind on that day. Take us through how were you feeling? What did that do to you?
Yazi angekho kholo mangekutshela ukuthi azange eze nokuza endlini. Wangifonela semsebenzini. Athi Sithandwa, namhlanje ngiyagcina emsebenzini. Ngifuna ukuzosebenzela uNkulunkulu. So the way bengi excited ngakhona ngoba bengazi ukuthi impilo efanele siphile. Bengibona ukuthi like upapa beka sebenza but inhliziyo yakhe beyiku community. Siloko sila. The way beka connecta noNkulunkulu ngakhona mina bengilakhaya mara yena beka ngathi more esontweni. So bengifila ukuthi kunento wrong eyenzakalayo. So that's why my phone athi nya stopper manje. Ngithi no problem woza sisebenze.
For an example, because lesikhathi singasi full time, ngama Fridays I will book a camp, fast, go and pray there, and I'm still just not a preacher. I was not a preacher at the time.
And bekang challenge ngoba bekasebenza mara bekaspend isikhathi noNkulunkulu ungidlula mina. Umuzwe ukuthi lo muntu uconnected noNkulunkulu but mina dololo. Yeah. So
Pops, sorry, Dad. Hey, Pops is when I'm not talking to you. Dad, take us through that day. Take us through your mindset. How did that switch come about? I mean, you're working, you got kids who are going to school, we living, a good life, and here you are having this, spark and, calling from God. But do you have any clashes in yourself to be like, no, but what about kids? And take us through that day.
I think I'll mention two things. The liberty of people, especially the community people who are oppressed, was the loudest thing inside me. The freedom of others. And I knew giving myself, paying that price, God will take care of my family. That's how I can say it in short.
Yeah, okay. I just want to say shout out. Thank you so much for making that decision. I look at that moment, and at times we tend to talk about it with my brother, and I'm realizing now that I'm slowly starting to shift my perspective around it, because when we used to talk about it back then, we don't do that anymore now. We used to say, if Dad didn't leave work, most probably, we would have had cars by now, we would have been driving these big things. And I've been thinking about it recently to be like, we can look at that moment and say that moment took away everything from us, or we can literally change our mind and say that moment gave us everything we ever needed. Because we needed to see someone who would say, it's either I'm going all in or nothing at all. So to give up, to not be a double-minded person, 1 minute you're working, the next minute you're that, to say that I'm giving myself wholeheartedly to this, thing that you believe you were called for. It's really an inspiration to us that if you really believe you were called into this, give it your all. So I just wanted to say thank you for that. Thanks, Mom, as well, for supporting. Dad, you literally showed us that we should not drop the bar. Actually, let me say this, it's not really we should not drop the bar. To the ladies who will be married to us or are married to us. Don't drop the bar. Yes, I really like that. So we're gonna ask my brother to ask a question. I thought we were gonna ask my sister. I thought we were gonna repeat my sister's question, but if you want the episode that we recorded previously, because my sister did ask the question, then please type on the comment section. My sister did ask a question. I'm gonna ask my brother to come and ask a question. He's just gonna ask maybe let me give him. Okay, he's only got one question. Please, I don't know, put your hands together for my brother. Let's give him a round of applause as he comes.
Sanibonani. I think first of all, congratulations on the 30 years of marriage. I think that's a very big achievement. I just have one question. What was the key element that kept you guys going for 30 years? Because 30 years is a long time. So what's the one key element that kept you going from day one until today, and that core element inside 75 and moving forward in order to sustain another marriage? Yeah, I think that's my only question.
Yo yazi uku-understanda indaba yokuthi umshado uqalwe uNkulunkulu, umshado into kaNkulunkulu. So if siqala sixakwa umshado fanele siye kuNkulunkulu for ukuthi siphuma kanjani kuyo, iyo yenze ukuthi sihlale emshadweni, ngoba ziningi izinto ebesingazazi emshadweni, but ngenxa yokuthi sine relationship noNkulunkulu, and then ukhona ukuthi lento ongayazi uNkulunkulu akuphe istrategy ukuthi uphuma kanjani kuzo. So ikey engakutshela yona ukumfuna uNkulunkulu for umshado wakho, and then nokumsaba uNkulunkulu, ngoba uNkulunkulu uyakhuluma, uyakutshela ukuthi Kholiwe wrong, ukhuluma kabi. Then ngingaphikisani naleyo nto leyo, ngikwazi ukubuyela kubaba ngithi I'm sorry ngikhulume kabi. So ngathi uNkulunkulu oncede ukuthi umshado wethu ume namanje.
Yeah. Mina, I think uku-answera le question le, a deep conviction ukuthi this thing must work. That conviction ukuthi no, umshado must work. And I think lento le yenze hope ukuthi okay, noma kune challenge namhlanje, but there must be a way out. There must be a way out. Yes, there's a verse in the Bible that wisdom is talking in the street.
Yeah.
Meaning, bakhona abantu abathize abayithole right lento le. So if I can just reference with them, you know, so that desire and the conviction ukuthi no, it must work. Let me wait, let me find out, let me ask. I mean, by the way, when we deadlock, we go to others people and to seek advice. Yeah, and it happened in the past, you know. It's not because see daring, okay, we're going less now because I think of the maturity.
Oh yes.
Yeah, but during those days, advice, try their help. Sometimes it works, sometimes it didn't work, you know. So that desire, yeah.
And then, sorry.
Sorry.
Yo, Majuza.
Mara enye into engiyifind out mina eBhayibhelini ukuthi amazwi kaJesu they are real. Especially la athi khona a wise man ozwa amazwi akhe ufana nomuntu ofuna ukwakha indlu, mara before akha indlu uyagubha agubhe mara thola idwala bese uyakha. Lelo Jesu ukhuluma into interesting lapho uthi lendlu leyo noma umoya ungavunguza ushaye indlu, imvula ize ishaye indlu, and singayifanisa nani lo moya ushaya indlu nemvula eshaya indlu, debates, arguments, ngaboni ngokufana, but the house will stand.
The house will stand.
Which means the marriage will stand. So I believe that. That's all I can say.
All right. Unfortunately, we have to close. But let me just take this time to advertise something that me and my dad are in the talks about. We'll see when we actually start airing it. And I just want to add, because he said something similar to, well, I want to add on what he said right now, which is something he says to me. So we want to take out a segment. So we normally go to Pretoria with my dad. It's like a 45 minutes drive from where we are. And we share the word of God. I share some of the things I learned, and he shares as well with me. So we really want to start that segment. So coming soon, check that out on Wisdom Podcast. But I wanted to say something that I know he would have loved saying. Yeah, that's how much I know my dad. I know what he would have loved saying, even when he doesn't know that he wants to say it. He would have loved saying, the problem with the circular space is that they are looking for different solutions other than, Jesus's words. You see, he's agreeing. So that's something I know he's really convicted about. That when we go to these conferences, people are looking for solutions outside of Jesus's words, which is it's really painful. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, the whole reason why I had begged my parents to do a retake, it's because of this last item. It's also there on the other one, and it's also going to be here on this one. And this is the last one. I'm going to ask my parents to look at each other in the eye, and I'm going to ask them, I said they must say their vows, but they're like, we're too old for vows now, so let me just put it this way. Declare your love to one another as you're looking at each other. Just for it doesn't matter whether 5 minutes, 1 minute, 30 seconds, 2 seconds, it really doesn't matter. Just declare your love to one another. Yeah.
Once again, I commit to love you with the very love that I had. My love for you still stands. I'll protect you. Thank you.
Okay. Ngizimisele ukusubmit kuyo yonke into oyifunayo na after 30 years ngoba with the last 29 years bonile ukuthi ku-easy ukusubmita emntwini njengawe onothando engilifuna everyday. Thank you for loving me.
All right. You are on Wisdom Podcast, so I'm going to ask you to do this. I've never asked anyone on the show, but you're my parents, right? I'm going to ask you to say goodbye the way we normally say goodbye. We normally say peace, sweeties. So we show the peace sign, and then we show the W sign. W, okay. We show the peace sign, and then we show the W sign. So you basically going to be the one to close out the show. As for me, I'm done. The peace weebies is going to come from mine. You must say peace weebies and show the W sign. So
Baby.
Peace.
yes.
Weebies.
Yes. Yeah.
Weebies.
No, weebies. Peace, weebie. Okay, alright guys, it's fine, it's parents. It's okay, we'll end it here. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. Peace, weebie.